Good morning. This is Pixie doing a video. I'll probably do a meditation video. I positioned my camera in a completely different place. It's basically you used to block your sun out on your car. I've got my little friend on today. Just put him on for a bit. Don't always wear it on clients. So I've got a bit of a stretchy cord, but this is it's meant to be an Egyptian artifact, whether it is or not. It does have a strange resonance about it. You wear it and you kind of feel this a sensation on the chest is there. So it could be the type of sandstone it's made out of as well. Get a positive vibe. Originally I cleaned it up with an ultrasonic device, and then I ended up repainting it, but underneath the original blue was green. And I think with the Egyptian gods there was a change in history where they switched their focus on certain gods, so they ended up painting, because they look the same, these two. So it's Nun and there's something else as well, or it's even an earlier version of it, green. They basically just painted their idols blue and said, right, you got to worship, that's the worship one you worship now. So they just changed it, which is interesting. And I think really today we could do that. It's kind of a bit of an Egyptian meditation, which would be good. 10 plus. So the first thing to do is just relax. I mean, if you've got a hot drink or something, you don't have to be super strict. Like a bit of Red Bull. And I put that, I'm just getting a bit of extra sugars in me. It'll help you relax. I mean, I've started to do what we call a pre-meditation, and sort of seeking out knowledge. It's like I've already been there, so I've already done it ahead of time. The knowledge I picked up, like the way the pyramid's laid out, it relates to the human brain, and then there's certain chambers in there as well, which will be that as well. So you've got different chamber. I think the king's sort of around here, the pineal, but it's further back. There's a different part of the inner part of the brain, or the reptilian part as well. But there's probably a chamber of the queen as well, so it's different. And also the eye, sort of ventricle, there's a point where it goes up. I think it's the design of the chamber of it. There's a bit more to the design, so it relates to the body as well. It's not just a kind of. There's lots of rumours about what pyramids are with the power stations, why they were constructed. The other thing I got kind of the feedback. I guess it's from a character who knows Horus. That basically they're not from here, and that there was an intergalactic Star Wars type situation, and they fled that situation, and they had to come to a planet they could live on, survive on. But they also had to hide the fact they were using certain technology, so they could be traced, and so they basically started pretty much from fresh. And it's also hard if you come to a world and wasn't using any technology, or your technology had nothing to do with like making stuff, like the same with the pyramids. I mean, certain technology must have been used around them, but I think they had to hide it. And so the way they did is they just incorporate other things into it. Yeah. Such as anti-gravity technology. But there was other races that came here as well. Now originally, I think for certain, for the people that call themselves the Jews, they're from Mars, to be honest. And there will be likely stuff on Mars that will relate to that. And it might sound a bit far-fetched, but there's different. Like, Moses, he said he would glow. So it's either he's taking loads of colloidal gold, but it doesn't glow in the night, or there's something different about the energy about his body, spiritually. So it just suggests he's not from around here, basically. So it could be there's also the possibility of humans already here, or what's contributed to that, and then it's a case of hiding with that into that population, so they don't, you build your own empire, but you also don't reveal necessarily the roots. And there may be still some technology that's buried away in Egypt, hidden away in some of these lower chambers, but to get to them, I mean, there could be portal type technology, so you could travel if the alignment's there. travel to a different point in the ground, you know, that's that kind of thing. There was stuff about initiations in the King's Chamber as well, so it'd be interesting. Mate, I think we should. I'm right. I think we should crack on. I mean, the thing I'm quite mindful is I get too much disturbances. You know, people think, "What's he doing?" You know, sort of thing. Because some people do like that. I don't know why. Or you might attract them in kind of aura. So, so first, just let yourself relax. The other thing about meditation, the more you practice it, it becomes a triggered response. So just kind of feel that. You don't necessarily completely relax. Just it's more about connecting to your body and raising your awareness frequency, basically. So you can feel that connection to the ground. Take a breath. Breathe out. Take another one. Hold it for a bit. And also think about how you breathe when you go to sleep. So I can feel the inhale and the exhale because I'm conscious of it. I can feel that gas expanding my rib cage to my lungs. It's good to train your lungs at least this time with lots of say viruses, etc. Just allow yourself just to relax. Relax in on yourself. Let go of all your tension. Breathe in. Out. As your ribs expand, they contract. Feel that kind of expansion go further down your spine. Feels like a lower back. And then just relax. I want you to center your focus between your brow, just sensing there. And continue breathing and relaxing. Now where you are at the moment now, see yourself inside, it's like a very large tent. The material around it is a kind of thick material. It's got a beige in colour. And on the ground, there's actual carpets laid on the ground. It's a tent that maybe somebody, maybe a nomad, an Arab type nomad might use. And we can see the light from outside the tent. Yeah. So it's as if we're a part of an excavation team. So I want you to just stand there for a second. You can feel the softness of the sand below your feet, but you're actually standing on top of a carpet. Through the tent is a bright light. So we pull back pull back the entrance, and you can see outside. You're standing in a kind of vast desert, and you can see the dunes in the distance. The sun is bright above us, and the sky is blue. You have to kind of stare towards your feet because it seems to be so bright outside. And a small distance in front of us, you can see a kind of sandstone rock, and that's almost at the edge of one of the dunes. And we're going to walk towards it. There's also some camels behind the tent we notice as we're walking across the sand. There's no breeze and the air's quite still. As we come to near the sandstone, like a boulder that was there, you can see the sort of an outlined frame and some steps going down to what appears to be a kind of stone door. There's some ancient Egyptian markings. And actually what we can see on the doors is there's Horus Anubis, and they have a kind of like, they have the animal heads, but they also have a kind of like a type of spacesuit on them. That's sort of engraved on the door. Yes. And the door doesn't really have handles, there's some square holes. And by the sides of the doors on the floor, there's these two crystals. They're square in shape. One of them that I've got is green, and the other one that you've got is a type of magenta. And we're going to put them in both together to just relax, take a deep breath, and then we're going to slide them in. 1, 2, 3, let's slide them in. And as you slide them in, you hear a click, and you can twist this square shaped, I guess it's like rectangular, this crystal, and then push it in, and the door sill seems to just click. You hear several mechanical clicks behind the door, and we're able to push it open. We'll take there's a torch by the side of the door, so I'm going to light it. I've got a Zippo lighter actually, I'm going to take from my pocket, and I light the rag on it. I've squirted some lighter fluid on it as well. It's got like a waxy material, but it hasn't been lit for a long time. Because this part hasn't been touched for a very long time. It's quite dusty, the floor, but there's limestone steps, so I'm just going to go further down into the chamber. As we go down into the chamber, you can feel the coldness of the ground around you, the feet. The air's a little dank, but it's not too bad. And it kind of echoes a little bit as you walk down. Now we're just going to walk around the corner and we're going to proceed to some more doors. Well, there's actually a hallway and there's at least 7 doors. So in front of us there's a door at the end of the corridor. So it's got a little bit of a walk. These different chambers to the side of us. There's also some kind of glowing crystals along it. It's just it's very low light. And we're going to continue down the corridor to the end chamber. Now what we've got at the end chamber is a large, one of the Egyptian gods. And there's also Hermes next to it. And there's a kind of entry system to this chamber. It's like it's round. You can put the hand shape into it. The fingers are different than ours. These are quite a bit longer, these fingers. And they're kind of spaced out a bit different, the fingers as well. And so I rest my hand on this control. And then there's buttons to press as well. And these crystals. And they're making kind of, the language isn't human. In this control device. There's an amber crystal I've pressed. There's a red one. There's another amber one. There's a white one. And there's a green one. And then I push my hand into it. And it's kind of what it's doing is it's storing information, so it knows what I am. So it's like being tagged, basically. And then what I want to do is slowly is to open the door, push it open. And there's a sandstone table. It's got little urns on it, but there's a small pyramid. And I guess it's a part of a kind of a computer. It's an emerald type tablet technology, and you sort of approach it, and then on the bench there's pendants, these crystal pendants. And now what you need to do is select one of them. So one of them pendants are sort of cool to you, and pop it on over your neck. And what you've got now is you can place your palm on this like control panel, and it will beam stuff directly into your mind. So basically it's a very high tech VR system that has a neuro interface. It will directly transfer knowledge to you. Yes. And so in this place where this tomb we are at the moment, there are lower levels, but we don't think we've got access to them. But there's a computer, and basically it's fairly AI. It had its original system set up, but it also had consciousness of its crew transferred to it as well. And some of it's for security reasons as well, because if somebody tried to impersonate the crew, it would pick up basically their algorithms that it's not the right person or something wrong. And so what you've got now is the insight to gain knowledge onto Egypt. You can just meditate on this chamber, or meditate on this pendant. Just see yourself somewhere and relax and hold that pendant. And you can sort of pick up on this ancient knowledge. Just wondered if it comes with any kind of a price to it. Not really. I think you just got to use it in a positive manner, and also keep it private and personal, basically. Because if you're watching this video and you're part of this meditation, it's kind of it's considered an honor. Yeah, and some of the souls of connection with the entity has got a connection directly with this AI type of being that's down in I say lower chamber. There may even be a way to sort of understand some of the technology behind it, but it's very much crystal is integrated with the human psyche and consciousness. So the kind of the pyramid are acting as antennas for something that's deeper underground as well. So when people went into these, they went to certain chambers in the pyramids, they were aligning themselves and tuning themselves in. So there's kind of a lot to take in there. Yeah, and I think this technology will also can influence you genetically as well, or even do some improvements on you. So, okay, well, we're going to come out of the chamber now. I'm going to head back. Yeah, and then on the way out, I touch this control panel, and the doors shut and click shut, and then we head up to the entrance to this tomb. Yeah, and so we just sort of leave. There is kind of some security there, something that's very unusual. It's a bit Borg-like in that you've got mummified beings. They've got a lot of nanotechnology in them. So yeah, it'd be quite scary to engage with something like that. It'd be like having a cyber zombie or something. Very odd. So we just leave this place, and as we go back to where the tent is, and then there's we go within to the tent itself. We close the doors behind us, the tent, and then what you can see is basically it's a black doorway. When you go through it, you'll be back in your body, and then just allow your breathing to return back to normal. It's an interesting thing. It's like the internal voice says, "I am one." So it's that's what you are. You're one person. You're one entity. You're one being. You're one everything. You are the one. So yeah, just relax and so take it in, and have a great day. And I mean, you can go back there, but I would probably do it once a day if you meditate on this place. It's just, but you wouldn't need to necessarily go there. You could just be like trying to look back in history or pick up some stuff, and that kind of knowledge is there for you now. It's a part of you. I'm trying to think of the actual other name of the Egyptian chap. It come to me eventually. Yeah, it's one of the last true Egyptians. But I don't know the stuff to do with the Israelites and where they play into it. Some of the knowledge they took as well across some of this ancient knowledge, comes somewhere else, so it's a bit complicated. So yeah, and then maybe some of them are still asleep. Don't know. They're in this kind of so when they transferred their consciousness into this crystallized entity, it can still be unlocked and put into something else, another vessel. So they could be transferred into a type of body, and it'd be android, I guess. That's why it's got some of the original human host in it, but most of it's technologically driven, and it's just using a guiding consciousness. So it won't have any emotional state, but it definitely it can act out an emotional state, but it'd be slightly different when you're no longer an organic being. Anyway, this is Pixie sign off in this one, and have a great one. Bye.